Secondhand Coke on Quora shares a few interesting tea from a source in the podcasting world. The netizen said, apparently Meghan has jumped on the bandwagon of solidarity with Iran by recording a podcast with Shohreh Aghalashu. I'm not clear on if it's an episode of Aghalashu's podcast or a new episode of Archetypes. I believe it is for Aghalashu's podcast. I don't think this info is anywhere in the press yet, so I'll have to wait to see if it's true. If it is, Meghan continues to hop on those bandwagons yet still remains irrelevant. The source continues by saying, apparently the real podcast listener count for Meghan's Nodcast is around 1.5 million listeners. I'm told that number accounts for everybody who's played at least one episode ever, not regular listeners. But this is also unconfirmed. It could also be the total number of times it's been streamed, but the former is what is most likely, according to the information I was given. The source's contacts at Spotify have allegedly said that Spotify, apparently even the staff refuses to call Meghan's podcast Archetypes, since, as we know, she hasn't talked about a single archetype yet. Supposedly at internal meetings, Spotify staff call the show Stereotypes. In her most recent podcast, Meghan has taken fresh blows after she claimed in her Archetypes podcast that her reputation for being demanding was down to society's angry black woman trope. However, a raw commentator has claimed the real reason she's disliked by some has nothing to do with the colour of her skin. Raw commentator Caleb Bond slammed her comments in a column for Sky News Australia, blaming Meghan's perceived reputation on her supposed actions rather than her ethnicity. The Duchess of Dreary has claimed her reputation as a demanding person comes down to the angry black woman trope. Maybe such a perception is not because of her ethnicity, but because she's a thoroughly dislikable person, Bond wrote. He added, everyone else is usually to blame, any excuse can be deployed, anyone can be thrown under the bus, so long as they can maintain the self-delusion that they're perfect in every way. Meghan Markle has become an expert in this field. Bond alleges that Meghan signed up for royal duties without knowing how taxing they would be before moving to the US for some quote-unquote privacy. He said, the fact she's demanding and difficult is generally disliked by a great deal of the world's population has nothing to do with her skin colour. It's because she's demanding and painful, an unfortunate trait of many celebrities who forgot who made them famous. That, of course, is the rest of the world. Furthermore, royal author Alexandra Shellman has slammed Meghan for her status, a narcissistic marshmallow with horrid observations. In her most recent piece for the Daily Mail she wrote, yes, sometimes people are thrown by a straight-talking woman in a way that they aren't with men, but Meghan naturally fails to address the far more relevant issue of how you behave regardless of your gender. Of course, it's important to be clear with work colleagues so as to get your message across, and occasionally you have to criticise. Yet that doesn't mean undermining and intimidating. It doesn't mean making others feel weakened as you demonstrate your strength. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't treat others exactly how you'd want to be treated yourself. Meghan seems obsessed with what she sees as the twin disadvantage of being a woman and being mixed race. Her podcast delivers a relentless California-style rant, soft-voiced whining that is intended to bolster women's self-image. But all they do is give the impression that her reading of the world is utterly narcissistic as she doles out the poor advice and observations of a marshmallow.